Hi everyone, welcome back to the Controversial Podcast. In today's episode, I just want to react on the story of Prof. Anele Mngadi. First of all, I just want to say sorry to her and to her daughter. I mean, they went through a lot. I even cried watching her videos. For lack of better words, I'm just going to say I'm so disgusted by what they've done to her. Shame on you, Standard Bank. In my view, I don't think it's about race. I always say this. We like to say racism, racism, but it's about the power, okay? It's about the power. The reason why they're exploiting black people, it's about the power. You need to understand the power. I'm just gonna stop it right there. And I truly believe her. I truly believe her. And, we've seen fraud cases going around unresolved, especially when you are fighting these big institutions. And by the way, it's not only your banks, even the life insurance companies are robbing people. I'm talking from a personal experience. My late younger brother passed away back in 2023. And we had an issue because my mom was paying this life insurance, and so now we were claiming. So right after my brother passed away, I was busy preparing for the funeral arrangements, and I was calling these people. And guess what? They were like, okay, we went to claim because you go to one of their branches. We went to this branch and we claimed, and they were like, no, everything is fine. In 2 days, they'll respond. I went there, it was on Monday because my brother passed away on Saturday. I went there with my mom on Monday. They gave us forms and we filled in the forms. Everything was fine. They were like, no, in a day or in 2 days' time, they will respond. You'll get your money. Okay, it's fine. We waited. Tuesday, no one is calling, nothing is happening. On Wednesday, I went there and they were like, no, you need to call the head office. There's nothing that you can do right now. They gave me the number. Then I called those people. They were like, no, there were delays. You're not going to get the money. Maybe probably next week. Mind you, on a Saturday, we were going to bury my brother. So I was like, no, you can't do that to me. We need this money. It's either we're going to get this money on Thursday or Friday, but I don't care how you do it. I mean, you've got my mother's information right there. She's been paying. She has never missed any payment. She has never missed any payment. She was paying monthly. So you cannot tell me that there's an admin issue whatsoever. I need the money now. Child, did I not bully those people? I was calling every after 5 minutes. Sometimes I will just call this person. After talking to that person, I will make another phone call. I bullied those people. I told them that I need to speak to the manager. They cannot rob us like this. How can you rob people who are mourning? We need this money. If I was not educated or whatsoever, or I didn't know anything, I don't think we would have gotten that money. Even though Mr. Salz from PA says education is not important, but in times like this, guys, you need education. You'll understand why it's important to go and study so that you will not be bullied by people, because you will become a critical thinker and you will be able to challenge those people. So I kept on bullying those people, calling them every day. On a Thursday, I think they said, oh, okay, it's fine. We are sorry, blah, 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 that you had to go through this. You'll get your money on Friday. Then come Friday, I called around 7. I kept on calling. I mean, every after 30 minutes, I was just busy calling. Then I think it was around 11 or 12, then they released the money. So imagine if I wasn't a bully myself. Imagine if I couldn't challenge those people. So I truly understand what you went through. I'm just telling you about something that is very small. And I don't understand why. Is it Black Penwell? I don't understand why Penwell is saying he only believes only 80% of that story, 80 or 70%. And in my view, he stated lame excuses. I mean, I'm talking about someone who was working at the bank. I'm definitely sure that he has seen fraud cases. If indeed he worked at the banks, I think he said he worked at Absa Bank. There are fraud cases. It is such a painful thing to hear something like this, especially from him. This man has, I don't know whether he has honors or degree in finance, and he studied finance. What is it that you want to hear? We've seen FNB, people coming out, calling out FNB, and it's not only Prof. Anele who's been calling out Standard Bank. There are other people who came on social media and said, Standard Bank, if I find the treats here, I'm just going to put it here. And they've said they've been scammed by Standard Bank, and others are saying they've been scammed by FNB. I forgot to screenshot those conversations on Instagram. Somebody was explaining that they took 500,000 rands and they're denying that 500,000 rand, and they are saying, we can't help you, we don't know what happened. Imagine working very hard for your money. Someone will just take it in a second, and you'll ask your bank, they will tell you they know nothing about. Penel must just say, you know what, I'm looking for a job, I don't have money at the moment, I missed the salary. He must just say that and stop feeding people nonsense. And he must not say, you would be naive. He said something, you would be naive to believe Prof. Anile. No, no, sir, you are the one who's naive. Don't involve us in your nonsense. If you don't want to believe her, it's fine. But don't call other people naive in believing her. It's you who's naive, and I've seen you've made an apology video, but for the fact that you stated those things, you wanted us to doubt Prof. Anele because you are educated, right? You went to private schools, you went to the university, blah, blah, blah. So you are the clever one in the room, and people should trust you because when you speak, you twang. People, oh no, will say, we do believe you because as Black people, we have this thing of when you hear somebody who's able to articulate themselves very well in English, you'll say, oh no, this person is smart. He even said, you'll never see a bank hiring Gizingabi. What the heck? Did you even do the research? Did you even listen to that whole story of Prof. Anele? You just want to say, no, there's no records. What do you mean? Because the very same Prof. Anele says they messed up the documents. She said her initial documents were very, very different from Standard Bank, the one that they presented in court. They were different, which means they lied. They lied in court. And when you listened attentively, I even replayed her videos, I don't know how many times, just to understand her story. And you will hear somebody says, oh, they'll never hire Ingabi, which means we're not following her all along. You cannot tell me that you are taking those people to court. All of a sudden, there's a robbery in your own house. And people are taking only documents. They're not interested in money. Because if these were real criminals, they were going to say, give us your password so that we can withdraw the money, or maybe take your phone and check the apps for banks. The next thing, ask her to release her funds, wipe all her bank accounts, like empty it, like leave absolutely nothing. They didn't ask the phone. They were very specific. They wanted the information that she has. And apparently she was busy with that thing of Ekurhuleni University, but I'm not going to talk about that. I just want to focus on her fraud case versus Standard Bank. And we need to call out those banks. And it's so unfortunate that the people, I'm just going to say the people who are owning those banks, especially the big institutions here in South Africa, it's very few families who are owning these banks. You'll find out that people who are owning Standard Bank are also having shares in FNB, Absa, all the banks, you name it. So which bank are we going to use as Black people? Back then when I was naive, I'm just going to put it that way. I used to think Black people can form a bank and all of that. Why can't those billionaires who are Black, why can't they just open a bank for Black people? Why? I'm talking about your Motsepas, I'm talking about the Gumedes, all those people who are Black in South Africa, and also that family, that royal family, Bafokeng royal family. Ramaphosa, I'm going to throw in Ramaphosa as well, because apparently he's a billionaire. Why they are enabling this thing of corruption? But then again, when you hear about these billionaires, you hear about triple BE stories, successful BE stories, the elite group. It's such a shame because majority of Black South Africans are still poor even today. I mean, we are struggling. Even the middle class, everyone is suffering now. I mean, if you are following the Madlanga Commission and you were also following that ad hoc committee, it's scary, man. Like, even criminals now can get tenders if they can see that you're following them, you're thinking that they're corrupt, they will deal with you, and unfortunately, you'll be unalived. Think about this triple BE thing. Who introduced that thing to our black leaders? That other group. I'm just going to say that other group didn't want to lose their businesses and give it to ANC losers. They said, let's just introduce this thing of triple BE. We'll pretend as if we are empowering everyone. We are empowering these black people. Please don't say all these people who've been getting tenders are corrupt. I've never had any scandal about the Royal Bafokeng. Please, I've never heard that he has tenders with the government. I'm just talking about those people who are getting tenders. I've never had any allegations. But we've heard about our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, about the scandal of sofas, Phala Phala Farm scandal. So don't say, oh, all these people that you've mentioned, I said they're corrupt. No, just connect the dots, okay? Why is it that it's only few families who are owning the banks, owning the retailers? They are just owning everything. And they are making it very difficult for a black child to own a bank, a big institution like your ABSA, your Standard Bank. They will say, you know what, we need 100 million rand. That was back then when I was busy doing research about banks and stuff. You will need about 100 million rand. Where are you going to get that money? One, you are not coming from the rich family. You're not coming from the world. You just want to change this world. But it's very difficult, even if you want to start your own thing. If we've got black people like Black Pan, they will try by all means to derail your plan. Not only that, they will try and say some sort of nasty things. By the way, I used to like Pan when he was only doing content about finances, financial literacy. He stopped that thing. I think he's trying to go back now, because this thing of him always dragging celebrities, dragging his baby mamas and all of that, it's not working out for him. People are always bashing him. Well, he likes the controversy. What can we say? What he just said is just so painful, and it's a shameful thing. Personally, I've seen people going through those things where they're scammed by the banks, where they're scammed by insurance companies. I'm just going to talk about another example where I was helping my aunt. I'm not a lawyer though. So she had a car insurance with King Price. I think, yeah, it's King Price. What they did there, I think she claimed for the first time, I can't remember what was the issue. I think the bumper broke. I think she had issues with her bumper. I can't remember. So they fixed that part. They paid. I can't remember how much was it. Then the car had an accident, like bad accident, and it was beyond repairs. So now she's going there to claim. The next thing they said, they were going to send this person. I forgot the name, man, but that person will come and investigate what happened to the car. How did the accident happen? So that person came. I forgot, guys. It's been a long time. I think it was 2 years back. I think it was last year, if I'm not mistaken, but I was busy with that. It's just that I was also busy with other things. Is it the assessor or what's the investigator or whatsoever? So they sent this guy, did the investigation, and my aunt had a criminal record. It's not like she went to jail. It was more like a complaint, but it was a criminal record anyway. I can't really say it's a complaint. It was a criminal record. She didn't even go to court. They said she must pay the money back, and then she paid the money. So after that, she didn't declare on this King Price. I think she said she didn't have a criminal record, something like that. So now she's claiming for the second time. I'm talking about this accident. So these people said, oh no, you didn't disclose that you had a criminal record. Mind you, it's something that happened back in 2002, early 2000s, somewhere there. They were like, no, we can't pay you, blah, blah, blah. And another thing, she didn't go to Department of Justice and asked for that case to be cancelled or removed, something like that. she didn't do that. So now, like, I'm busy writing letters to this guy. So we contacted ombudsman, because even Dr. Prof, I had her talking about ombudsman. Those people are not assisting people, they're just wasting your time, to be honest. I'm just gonna be honest with ombudsman. So I wrote a letter, then I told her to email this letter to these people. So I was busy explaining there's no way that they can bring this thing of criminal record. Okay, even though she said she didn't have a criminal record, but she forgot about it in a way. But why did you make the first? So I even forgot there was a call. I even forgot where I was. So I sent this letter explaining everything. But you paid the first payment, understand the procedures and everything, but you cannot tell us that the issue is criminal record, yet at the same time you paid. So it was like back and forth. These people came with receipts, and I'm not a lawyer, by the way. I'm just going to do research because I'm kind of interested in this case. I just want to see how things will go. The ombudsman is like a correspondence. Let's say you've got a case, they will just take whatever response that you are saying and give it to this third party. It's like you're the first party, second party is ombudsman, third party is this person, people that you have an issue with. I made like valid points. If that's the issue and you're not supposed to process the first claim, why can't you pay now? Why are you having issues? And it's like after 10 years your case expires, something like that. They were just not having it, and my aunt was like, I'm tired, I don't want to go on with this case, even though I wanted to just to see what's going to happen if we take things further. If Because it's not like she was paying me money. She wasn't paying those people, these ombudsman people, money. So I think it's just useless, guys, to complain to ombudsman. You need to have money, you need to have lawyers. And unfortunately, I'm just going to say, unfortunately, lawyers even take bribes to these big companies. And not only that, they threaten them. They'll be like, look at the case of that guy, Advocate Defo. You know, when you are fighting for justice in this country, you'll always be a clown. Somehow the media will make you a clown. And I'm not kidding, guys. I'm not kidding with that. Whenever you are fighting for justice, you'll become this lunatic, crazy person. And unfortunately, people are watching. They'll say, oh no, this person is crazy because you are fighting big institutions. For me, guys, honestly, with my aunt's story, I just wanted to see. I wanted to take on that case, but my aunt was like drained. She said we must just stop it. She's stressed, blah blah blah, and there's work on the other side. She doesn't want to stress about it. And I was like, I tried to convince her. I was like, I'm going to take this on. She doesn't have to worry about this. But I had to respect her, and we had to walk away. So what was interesting is that they processed the first claim, but the second claim, they were like, it's too much. We don't want to pay because there was negligence. If that was the case, if they were saying we cannot pay somebody who has a criminal record, but why did they pay her? Why would they make that payment? How is it possible that a big institution like them, they can just make that mistake? They sent an audio where my aunt was responding. She was basically responding to the questions that they were asking, and when they asked her about the criminal record, indeed, she said, no, I don't have. But they never explained it further and said, you know what, if you do have a criminal record, we are not going to pay you anything, even if you can pay. They didn't do that. So I was also fighting for that. Like, why are you not alerting your clients when you're having a conversation with them? Why couldn't they tell her, okay, even though they presented the good side of that insurance, but why couldn't they just be upfront and say, you know what, if you've got a criminal record, we can't process any claims for you. So it's useless to have you as our client. So they come up with the story of giving her documents. You are supposed to read their policies, blah, blah, blah. But I was not having it. So even though they were insisting on the story, it's just that I was going to come up with another tactic. And I mean, we've had the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, General Nhlamkhwanazi. He exposed the rot in the SAPS. Not only that, in the judiciary, now they're busy trying to protect judges. I'm sorry to say that, because we've had I forgot the witness there, whether it was witness C or witness, I forgot the witness, or witness A, who exposed Judge Lidwaba. And nobody wants to talk about that matter. They keep on saying, oh, Konas didn't give evidence, especially about the judiciary. Our judges are corrupt. We've seen the generals, senior generals that have been arrested not so long ago, who were busy abusing the system at the SAPS. So now they're facing the music with Matlala. To say that you don't believe Prof. Anele, I don't understand, why do we always fight one another? Prof. Anele said, AfriForum, Afrikaners are united. They're paying 10 rand and they're able to take down the government. It's them who fought this thing of Bella Act. They went to court in a way that Bella Act is not favoring Black South Africans. They went there and said, you're not going to do this. Africans will stay, or whether you like it or not. You can't just erase Africans. Where are our Black lawyers? I always ask myself, what's the issue with Black lawyers? Yes, I'm calling them out. The one who was presenting the suspended minister, Mugai Tobi, Advocate Moses Kakane, why can't they just come together and fight for Black rights? But Black people don't have anyone to fight for them. We should have like a movement just like AfriForum. If we have grievances, just like Prof. Anele's case, for instance, we can say, you know what, we are going to bring top lawyers. We are going to bring in top lawyers. Not doubt about that. People who go there and represent you. But no, it's Black people. We are always shaming each other. We are always insulting one another. We don't want solutions. We just want to drag successful people. I really hope Prof. Anele wins that case against Standard Bank. Not only that, I hope people like Ndlela Mkhwanazi are also watching this case and do the investigation and arrest those criminals who were abusing them. People who poisoned her child should be having SAPS that is working. Do we really need to call them out? Unfortunately, General Ndlela Mkhwanazi is the provincial commissioner and they just renewed his contract. That means they are not even interested in making him the national commissioner. I'm telling you, Ndlela Mkhwanazi deserves to be a national commissioner. If we can have somebody who's so decisive like General Ndlela Mkhwanazi, I'm telling you, there will be law and order in this country. But they don't want that. Even Ramaphosa is scared of Ndlela Mkhwanazi. I'm telling you, Cyril Ramaphosa is scared of Nhlanhla. Sibusiso does not play child. When he wants you, he wants you. So we should just forget about him becoming a national commissioner while President Cyril Ramaphosa is still president, because he was also implicated. Do you remember that letter that was actually written at the ad hoc committee, even though it was a hearsay? The letter that was brought by General Ndlela Mkhwanazi. There was this guy who was exposing the Phala Phala matter. So obviously our president is also allegedly involved. I'm just going to put it that way. He's also allegedly involved. So yeah, guys, tell me your thoughts on this one. And I know there are people who have been scammed a lot of money, guys. I know. You know it too. Maybe you've been scammed. Let me know on the comment section. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Bye. See you on the next episode.